Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 6 of 13 days of Booktober. I cannot believe we're already on day 6. I'm having so much fun filming this series for you guys, and I do hope you guys are enjoying it too. But we are back with yet again another reading vlog. I'm trying to do a reading vlog based on genres, so the next genre we're going to be reading is fantasy. I am very excited to be in the fantasy mood again because I have a lot of fantasy books on my TBR for fall, so we need to make a dent in those. I have 3 books in mind that I really want to get to. The first one is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This one is kind of like a fantasy horror book. I've heard a lot of really great things about it, so I'm very excited to get to it. It's also not very long, so I'm hoping this one reads pretty quick. This one I actually did pick up last year. I had planned to read it during October of last year, but of course I didn't get to it in time, so I rolled it over. But this one I'm really excited to get to. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's not very long. The next book I have is The Late Night Witches by Lee Wallace. This one I picked up when I was at Barnes & Noble. I was looking at the fantasy section just to see what kind of fantasy books they have, and I picked this one up because I thought the cover was so cute. And the back of the book honestly hooked me. It said it was a warm and fuzzy novel about family, love lost and found, discovering who you are, and how difficult it is to slay a vampire. And something about witches and vampires, that sounded like it was going to give such great spooky vibes. Honestly, I think this one's going to read kind of like a cozy little fantasy. So this one is going to be perfect because sometimes you just want something that's like super chill, and I think this one is going to be that. And the last one I have is Nightbane by Alex Astor. This one I mainly want to get to because I read Lightlark recently, and I don't want to read this one and forget what I remember about Lightlark. So this one I want to get to sooner rather than later, so I figured this one would be perfect for this video. I'm super excited to get to all of these. They all sound like they're going to be a lot of fun, and I think they're all kind of just like a different, like they're all fantasy books, but they're all going to give a different kind of pace, which I think is really great. And that's also what's really cool about fantasy books. Like you can have a horror fantasy, a cozy fantasy, and one that's just a little more high stakes. So I'm very excited. I'm also excited to be putting a little dent in my fall reads because my fall TBR was a little intense and all 3 of these books were on there. So at least I'm putting a dent in my fall TBR. I do think I'm going to be starting with Cackle by Rachel Harrison, mainly because this is the one I'm most excited to get to right now. But I think I'm going to start with this one, and then I will choose the next one when we finish the first one. Hey guys, I am back with a little bit of an update. So I did finish reading Cackle. I never actually came and gave an update just because, one, my week has been kind of busy. I wasn't able to read as much after work. Sometimes my weeks just get kind of busy, and this was one of them. So I was only able to read like a couple pages a day. So I was finally able to actually put in time to the book, and I ended up just finishing it. But here are my initial thoughts and also final thoughts since I'm giving it to you all in one update. So this book is following Annie. Annie recently ended a 10-year relationship with her long-term boyfriend. Because they broke up, she needs to essentially move out of her apartment that they share together. They live in New York. She can't afford to live in New York, so she ends up finding herself moving to this small town, and the people are really nice, and she ends up meeting this one woman, Sophie, who she ends up having a really good connection with, but she starts to notice some interesting things about her. And obviously, as we read the book, we learn a lot more about Sophie and about Annie. This is honestly a really quick, fast-paced read, but I will say Annie's character, she's very, I don't want to say unlikable, but I didn't like her. I don't think she's meant to come off as unlikable, but there's something about her character that just kind of like irked me so much. The way she was with other people, she just felt so lifeless. Like someone would try to have a conversation with her, and it's almost like, imagine meeting somebody who they just talk like this and just give you short responses, and they have no emotion. Like that's how she comes off in the book. And I can't, like, it's like, yeah, no, like nobody's gonna like you if you're like that. And her main thing is like, how does she make friends, and how does she do this and how does she do that in a town where she doesn't know anybody? Like she just turned 30 and she feels like, how do you make friends in your 30s and stuff like that? And whenever she has interactions with absolutely anybody, she just comes off like stone. And it's like, even like in the books, the descriptions are like, she said flatly. It was really hard to like Annie's character or to feel bad for her and her situation and her losing like her boyfriend and stuff like that, especially because she comes off as the type of person who her whole life was centered around her boyfriend. So it was like, now that she doesn't have him, who is she, kind of thing. So I don't know. I want to say that her character development was kind of fast. Like, it was like very slowly paced, and it wasn't until like the last 2 chapters that her character really develops and embraces herself. And to me, it was just kind of like, meh, it felt a little flat. I do think the story overall was really interesting. I really liked Sophie's character. There are little side characters that we get in this that are not really characters, more like, I don't want to say pets, and they were kind of cute. I could never. I'm just going to put a trigger warning in here. If you don't like spiders like me, there are spiders in this. And if you don't like spiders and they're triggering for you, maybe proceed with caution, because there were scenes where they talk about the spiders and I don't do well. I don't do well. So the spiders in this can get kind of creepy. I think I mentioned before, this is a horror fantasy, and it does have parts where it can, like, I definitely get why it's considered horror, but I don't think it's scary by any means. So if you want to pick up the book, but you're kind of nervous because it's technically considered like a horror, I think you should be fine. I think if anything, there are just some scenes that kind of like give you like an eerie feeling, but I wouldn't say anything is outright scary. Like, there's a haunted house, but is it really haunted? Not really. There's just ghosts in there, but we really don't get a whole bunch of the ghosts. Like, they're not like a major part of it, kind of thing. So there are aspects to this that give off scary vibes, but I don't think that they're necessarily scary. So if you don't like scary books, but you're looking for a fun Halloween book, I do think you should still read this, because it's interesting. It's an interesting concept, but I don't know. This one was just okay for me. I think it's gonna sit around like maybe a 3.5 star for the most part. I just think it was like perfect for getting into the October like Halloween mood. I don't think this was the best book I've ever read, especially because I didn't really like the main character. Her character development just was like slow and then felt rushed at the end. The only character I really truly liked was Sophie. I think her character was a lot of fun to read. I really liked her, and I think that's why this is leaning more towards 3.5 stars. But if you could look past the main character, I don't know why, she just kind of bugged me. So I think this is going to sit at a 3.5 star. I definitely would recommend for a quick spooky read though. I think it was a lot of fun, and I really loved the little spider that we see in this. He just made me happy, even though he was a spider, and there's no way in hell I would ever let the spider do half the things that the spider does in this book. So glad I got to read that though. I had heard a lot of great things, and I can see why a lot of people like it. But I'm very excited because now I'm going to be picking up Nightbane by Alex Astor. This is the second book in the Lightlark series, and I'm really excited to get to this. I don't think this is the last book in the series. I do think there's another one if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the name of it though, but I definitely think this is maybe a trilogy. I don't know if there's more books, but I think this is a trilogy. So definitely excited to pick up the second book and see how we're going to pick up from the last book. But I am going to go ahead and start reading this, and I'll be back with some updates when I have them. Okay, so I just realized that on here, it does say exclusive Skyshade excerpt inside. So it's definitely got 3 books. I don't know if there's going to be one after that, but it's definitely a third one after this. And it's called Skyshade apparently. Hey guys, I am back with an update. I did finish reading Nightbane by Alex Astor. I didn't do an update mainly because this is the second book in the series, so I felt like there wasn't really an update I can give that's not really just going to spoil the book for you guys. So I didn't do an update because of that. But if you guys haven't read Lightlark, Lightlark is essentially following this centennial that happens every 100 years. Each of the leaders of this kind of like world have to gather together to essentially fight each other because one of the leaders needs to die in order to save each of their realms from this like curse that's plaguing them. One of the leaders has to die in order to save them from the curse that's plaguing their realms. And we're essentially following Isla, who is a leader of one of the realms, but she actually doesn't have any powers, so she needs to essentially take part in this centennial with no powers and survive. A lot of stuff happens in that book, and this book is essentially taking part after everything that happens in the first book. I'm really trying not to spoil anything, and I'm not sure, especially after reading this, what is a spoiler and what's not, but that's kind of just like the main premise of it. We have this centennial that happens every 100 years. Each of the leaders of the different realms are meant to fight in the centennial in order to break their realm's curse. And each of the different realms has a different curse based kind of like on their realm's powers, I guess. Either way, this one picks up right where that one leaves off. And we're still following Isla in this one as well. And this one feels very filler book. And as I was looking on Goodreads, there is one that comes after this, and there's another one that comes after that one. And I gotta tell you, this series is interesting, but it's not interesting enough where I think I want to continue past this book. The story is an interesting concept, but I feel like the writing of it, it's not the best where it's hooking me. I did have the audiobook for this available, and I think had I not had the audiobook, I would just find this kind of boring. I don't know. Something about this series is just kind of like falling a little flat for me. I did give this one a 3-star. I don't think that I want to continue this series. I think I had thought like Lark had potential, and I was hoping that Nightbane would be the make or break for me. And I think for me, this one just kind of like confirmed that this series just really isn't for me. I do see why a lot of people would like it and why a lot of people might want to continue it. I just don't think it's for me. So I do still recommend, like, if you really like Lightlark, to continue the series. The characters are very interesting, and I do think that's kind of what kept me going. A lot of the side characters were kind of interesting, but I don't think it was enough for me to want to continue reading the series. But I did pick up The Late Night Witches next, and I'm really excited for this. I'm hoping this gives like cozy fantasy witchy vibes. So we'll see how this one goes, but I'm going to start this one next. I will be back with some updates when I get maybe about a good amount in. I'm only on page 14 right now, so not that far into this, but I will be back with updates when I get further into this book. Hey guys, I am back with a little bit of an update. I'm already 100 pages in, and honestly, I'm actually having a fun time. This book is giving off, like, if you've ever seen a movie, like a Halloween movie about witches, like think of like if Halloween Town and Practical Magic kind of like got together and had like a baby. This is what that's giving me. Like, the main character that we're following, this Cassie, is giving me Mom from Halloween Town vibes. And I don't know why. But then there's an aunt in this that's giving me one of the aunts from Practical Magic vibes. And I don't know, I'm really enjoying this so far. It's refreshing and it's fun. And it's just giving exactly what I thought it was going to give when I read the back of it. It's so much fun. So essentially we're following Cassie, who is leading like this very ordinary life until one day it's disrupted when vampires turn up in her life. And she ends up finding out some stuff about her family's history. And it turns out she comes from a line of witches. She's actually a witch, and the vampires are actually after the witches to break this curse that was put upon them centuries ago. And I don't know, it's so much fun. I'm having so much fun. There's a funny neighbor who gets wrapped up into all of this, and he has like a baby, and the precautions he's taking to like make sure his baby is safe. He's just adding an element to this that's so funny. But I don't know, I'm having a really good time. I'm enjoying the characters a lot. Cassie's character is very interesting. Her character is not my favorite of all of them. I really like a lot of the side characters we're following. But overall, I'm having a really good time. This is just giving the cozy fantasy vibes that I wanted, and I'm loving it. So I'm going to keep reading, and I will be back either with an update or when I'm done with this. Good morning, guys. Happy Sunday. I don't know that I read that much more yesterday after I updated you on my progress, but I'm about like 25%, maybe a little over 25% into this book, and I'm still really enjoying it. I'm going to be reading this book today, and I also made some coffee, so I'm just going to be reading and having some coffee this morning. But I don't know if I told you guys, on Friday I was doing my nails, and I'm obsessed with how they came out. So I just have to show you guys. I have little mummies on this finger and little ghosts on this fingers, and I'm so obsessed with them. They're so cute. I'm gonna keep reading and I'll be back with some updates. Hey guys, I am back with our final update for this video. I did finish reading The Late Night Witches by R.L. Wallace. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I really did. It really gave off like the perfect mix of like practical magic fantasy like book vibes, and I really liked that about this. Like, we have that family dynamic with our main character and her sister, her kids, but also the aunt, and working together to try and defeat the vampires, and everything about this was just so much fun. I had such a good time with it. I think when I was looking for books to read in October, or for specifically like the spooky season, this is kind of what I was looking for when I picked this book up. It literally is a warm and funny novel about family, love lost and found, discovering who you are, and how difficult it is to slay a vampire. Like, that little blurb really does tell you exactly what this book is about, and I honestly think it was a good time. There are some parts that felt a little slow at times, and this isn't like the best book I've ever read, but basing it off of you wanting a fantasy book about witches slaying vampires, this is that. And I think it was a good time. So for that, this is about a 4-star for me, I think. Overall, I am glad I picked this one up. I honestly can just see this being a comfort read for the spooky season. You get witches, you get the magic, you get the vampires. Like, there's just some characters in this that are funny. I will say the main character that we're following, Cassie, can get kind of frustrating sometimes. I just hate miscommunication in relationships, but also in like family relationships too, where it's just like, trust your kids, trust your sister, trust your aunt, like trust your family enough to talk to them. So because of that, I was getting kind of frustrated with the main character. She can get very negative at times, and she just didn't really like to communicate with people, which was so frustrating. But aside from that, I do think the story was a lot of fun. I do think we do see that slight character development for her. Not like a huge one, but we do see that for her and stuff. But I don't know, this was just a really good time, and I really enjoyed it. And it just made me think of like comfort Halloween movies that you would typically watch, like Halloween Town or Practical Magic, or I'm trying to think of some other ones, maybe even Hocus Pocus, I don't know. But Hocus Pocus is a little bit more, the witches are bad. In this book, I guess the witches aren't necessarily bad, but either way, this one was just the perfect fantasy October read for me, and I am not disappointed with this one because it was just a lot of fun. So that brings us to the end of this video. Just to kind of like recap all the books that we read. I first read Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This one was a 3.5 star. For the most part, this one was fun. It was interesting. The main character kind of got annoying to me at times, but it is a quick read. You're going to get your witchiness. The spiders in this were kind of crazy, but one spider in particular was adorable. I really enjoyed Sophie's character, and I think this one is just a good book to read if you want to get into the spooky spirit for Halloween. This one's going to be a quick, fast-paced read about witches, and I think you're just gonna have a good time with it. It's not a very long read, so it'll be a quick one just to kind of like put you in the mood. The next book we read was Nightbane by Alex Astor. This one ended up being a 3-star for me, and I think I came to the conclusion that I don't want to continue the series, mainly because the first book was a 3-star, this one was a 3-star. It kind of seems like the series is going to be kind of mediocre for me, and because of that, it doesn't really make sense for me to continue the series, especially after finding out that there's a 4th book in this when I thought this ended at the 3rd one. I don't think it's for me, so I think I'm going to stop after this one. If you have read Lightlark and Nightbane and are really enjoying it, like, definitely keep going. I just think for me personally, this series is just not hitting the way I thought it would. And I was hoping that after Lightlark, the 2nd book would have really peaked for me, and it just fell kind of flat for me. So I think I'm just going to stop the series here, but I definitely recommend, if you really enjoyed Lightlark, I do think you're going to enjoy the rest of the series. I think this one's just not for me. And lastly, of course, we had The Late Night Witches 4 stars. Perfect for October witchy vibes. I think you're going to have so much fun reading this because it's definitely going to put you in that spirit. But that wraps up our video of reading fantasy books for the week. These 3 books I definitely think were a lot of fun, and I'm so glad I got to read them. I definitely would really recommend these 2 books to definitely put you in the Halloween spirit. They're going to do a really good job, and they were a lot of fun. But I had a really good week of reading. These books were a lot of fun. That's it for today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. I would love to know if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were, so please leave me a comment letting me know. And let me know of other books like similar to these that you guys really enjoyed that you would recommend for spooky season, because I had so much fun with specifically these 2. If you have other witchy kind of fantasy books that you think would be a lot of fun, I would definitely be interested. But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, I would love it if you would like, comment, subscribe. My links are all down below if you want to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Goodreads, all that good stuff. But thank you so much for joining me on day 6 of 13 Days of Booktober. I'm having so much fun filming this series, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 7. Bye!